Welcome back into George and the Jungle, brought to you as always by Remington Tavern, coming at you live from the Cincy Light Studios. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m. $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at Remitav Cincy. That's REMITAV Cincy with a Y, or follow them on Facebook. And while you're there, be sure to grab yourself an ice cold Cincy Light. You can get it in a can, you can get it on tap. Either way, you are supporting the athletes that you love to watch at the University of Cincinnati while drinking a great beer. But with that, George, we are underway. I hit the wrong button. There we go.
It looked better with that other thing up.
Got rid of the wrong thing. But it's been a week since we last spoke. And in that time, the Cincinnati Bearcats, it's been a tale of two games. We saw them lose in heartbreaking fashion at home to a West Virginia team that they just cannot seem to beat. I believe, 0-4 in their last four meetings. And then they beat the brakes off UCF 92-72, also at home. You were there in the stands witnessing both games. You can start wherever you want with either of those two, sir.
Well, Thursday night was just an abomination, and they had that lead. You could feel it slipping away, and it kept slipping away. I'm going to start with something. I don't know how I feel about this, and maybe you can help me on this. I don't know if you've noticed. They changed the introductions a little bit because Wes was getting booed a lot. Did you hear about this?
I did.
So Thursday, they introduce the team, then say, like they usually they'll put the faces and the headshots of the assistants up and run them down, and then your head coach of the Cincinnati Bearcats, Wes Miller, and then people are supposed to cheer, but they've been booing a lot since the last month. And then they cranked the music up as quick as they could so you couldn't hear the boos. And then on Sunday, they changed it to and now the starting lineup for your Cincinnati Bearcats, coached by Wes Miller at guard. So there was no time to really boo, and it kind of slipped by everyone. But I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. It's like, I guess they figured they better do something. But I don't know. If I'm Wes, I'm like, you know what? Keep it the same and let them boo me. You're not hiding from your record. You're not hiding from anything else. So I thought that was kind of funny because I noticed that right away, and I'm sure everybody else who goes to all the games pretty much noticed that too. And it was just interesting. I know they feel bad for him, whoever's doing all that in-game stuff, and did the best they could to keep him from getting booed. But it's just interesting. It's just something different that happened that I noticed. The game itself, it was, kind of what we've been seeing this year. And I thought the difference in what happened against Central Florida and what happened against West Virginia is UC came out way more aggressively Sunday than what they've been in most games. Like, guys were getting fouled early. Chom got fouled on the first possession. Then Baba got fouled not long after that. Then they shot like 9 free throws in the half, 21 in the game. And that's rare for them. But I thought I noticed an immediate aggression from that offense that I had not seen before. And they did a pretty good job taking care of the ball for the most part. And Wes mentioned some of this after the game, that Celestine getting to, go back to being a small forward again. And I just think he's looked much better over the past 4 games, 5 games, whatever it's been. I think he's played much better, even when he's not scoring and not shooting well, and he shot it well Sunday. He's doing little things I didn't notice him doing earlier in the year. And whether that's because, the dude was hurt, playing out of it, I don't know what it is. But I just feel like he's playing much better. Chom should play against Central Florida every night because that seems to bring out the best in him. And Baba Miller had his buddy back in the middle because he didn't against West Virginia, and that was just kind of a glaring problem where they could focus a little more inside and take that away from Miller, and we saw what the result was, and it wasn't pretty.
We see, against West Virginia, you shoot the ball horrendously, 36% from the field, 30% from three, 7 of 9 from your free throws, so 78%, not bad there, but
no, they just don't do it enough.
Right, only 9 free throws in the game is
right.
That's terrible.
It's terrible.
Then again, against UCF, you shoot 59% from the field. You shoot 61% from three with 11 threes in that one. Threes made, by the way. And then you go 15 to 21, so far more free throws, 71% from the line. You see all 5 starters go into double digits, which you just decided we're going to play the make shots offense, which they have done rarely this season.
And I thought they took better shots, though. I just really did. It flowed better. It wasn't perfect. There was a possession in the second half, and I still can't believe this happened. UC's got the ball. Jizzle brings it up the court, and they probably took 20 seconds off the shot clock. And the only 2 people who touched the ball in this possession were Sincere Harris and Jizzle James. And it's like, I don't think that's very good offense when everything else has been working. I don't know. I can't remember who else was in the game. And maybe West Virginia was doing something to take. I don't. It was just an odd possession. It's like, that's the kind of crap that drives me up a wall, even when they're up double digits at the time this happened. It's like, you can't just have these silly possessions like that. And fortunately, Sunday they didn't. They didn't give the ball away. I don't know how many turnovers they ended up with, maybe 11. I forget what they had in the game.
It was 11.
Which is a little better. If they can keep it around 10, obviously their turnover rate has been horrendous. Stack it up against the Big 12, stack it up against the rest of college basketball. They turn it over too much. And they've gotten a little better at that as the season's gone on, because there were just some dreadful games early with the number of turnovers. But, they're dead last in the Big 12 in field goal percentage, free throw percentage. There's a lot. People complain about this offense all the time, but there's a lot to complain about. Sunday, it looked much better. They made some shots. That helps. But I also felt like they were a lot more aggressive offensively.
They were, but as we speak about being offensively aggressive, and by the way, what's good, Ron, in the chat? Appreciate you coming in. You're not usually on this show. You usually watch our other stuff, so appreciate you here. But I'm going to give you a stat that Keegan gave me on Sunday during the aftermath. I don't know if you've watched the aftermath or not yet. Hopefully you haven't, so I can give you a crazy stat, George.
Give me a crazy one.
Day Thomas, in 12 games, I believe now, of Big 12 play. How many free throws do you think he has taken in 12 games?
Not many.
How many would you guess?
In 12 games? Mm-hmm. Okay. I was looking at his numbers earlier today. I'm going to say, let me do 12 games, right?
Again, not my stat, so I do want to make sure I give full credit to Keegan for this one. Okay. But yes, 12 games.
Okay, I'm just going to throw out 12.
13, actually.
13. Okay. Because it's amazing.
It's terrible.
Number of games, there's 0.
It's terrible.
Now, he's turned into a much better outside shooter than probably anyone else they got. And so
actually, Jizzle's at 40% right now.
Yeah, he shot it well here lately. He has shot it much better. He shot it well Sunday, but who didn't? But that whole, we've been talking about this free throw thing for several years. But yeah, that's unbelievable for a guy. What I consider a pretty darn good skill set, driving and handling the ball, doesn't get to the line very often. Now, there's a reason he settles for some of those threes, but I think the point you made a couple of weeks ago kind of plays into that, where you're catching the ball out there and setting up so far behind the 3-point line. I think you would think he's going to get fouled some on a first step if somebody's not playing off him at all. if he's catching the ball at the 3-point line rather than 3-4 feet behind it, that might help.
When you look at guys that are at the top of the league right now as far as level of play, you look at guys like AJ DeBanza, Darren Peterson, guys like Christian Anderson, JT Toppin. You look at guys like, you name a top star on any of the Kingston Flemings, just name any star on any of these top teams around the league, even Momcilovic to an extent, they're all getting free throws.
Right.
All of them. Dede Thomas has to find a way. It's not as if he's bad. He's the only one who's damn good at shooting free throws on this team. You're shooting 92% or whatever,
Right.
91, 92%, whatever he's at for the season. You need to get to the line more. That's how you can elevate this team. That's how you can take them from scoring 54 points or 59 points against 54 against West Virginia. I forget what it was against Houston, but that's how you take a team from scoring in the 50s to scoring in the 60s and the 70s. That's what Arizona does. That's what Houston does. That's what Iowa State to a lesser extent, but BYU, they all get to the line if you're at the top of this league. And Cincinnati just simply, they can't make the free throws more often than not. And yes, they had a good game against UCF, but we've seen over the course of this season, they have not been good at the line. But B, they get to the line so often and get the other teams in foul trouble that they cause some issues. And that's just something that has been glaring from this team from jump. Since the non-conference, it has been an issue. And if this is something that you're really good at, if you are Dede Thomas, I don't care how much more comfortable you feel behind 4 feet, 5 feet, 7 feet behind the 3-point line. I think you have to set up closer in simply to get to the line or to get to the line more. You have to at least keep the defense honest that you are going to potentially drive to get more free throws, because you see it.
And we have been talking about this for a while, and that's something the guys making all that money coaching got to figure out and get him to do, and draw up some stuff, do some things, do something to get this guy to the free throw line a little bit more, and maybe win a few more games and maybe get some other teams in foul trouble for a change.
You almost have to tell them to take away the long two that they love, both him and Jizzle, that 15-foot, 18-foot fadeaway two.
Right.
Again, you made it against UCF, but that's what takes you, instead of going Jizzle James 5 of 10, maybe you go 7 of 10, and you have, instead of 2 free throws, again Jizzle James, or even Dede Thomas, also with 2 free throws. That's what takes you into 7, 9, 11 free throws instead of 2. And
right. I mean, you look back at some of the great scores that we've seen recently at UC, and you look at Jaron Cumberland or Sean Kilpatrick. Those guys got to the line quite a bit.
You don't have to stop there. Troy Caupain.
Right. That's another one. I mean, they got to the line a lot. In fact, you'd be sitting there going, dang, he's got 20 points. And it'd be like, well, yeah, he's 11 of 13 from the line or whatever. It's just, it's a big part of this team that is missing. They have really nobody that does that very well. I mean,
well, in this game, Baba did get to the line 8 times.
I thought he was very aggressive, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why he'd be so much more. And he made a 3 for the first time since, I don't know. Moby Dick was a minnow, I guess. I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been about 3 or 4 games. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's maddening to me that you've essentially taken an aspect of the game that Dede Thomas should simply be at the line more, period. I don't know. It's very, very frustrating. That's what takes this team to the next level.
His skill is really high at the free throw line, and the fact that he never shoots any, that's a big miss for this team.
I agree.
And I think that bit him on Thursday night. What'd they shoot? 9 free throws Thursday night? 9?
9 total.
The
Yeah, 7 of
entire
9.
game. I mean, that. Yeah, that doesn't compute. And
Your
I
two
still
guards.
feel like they should have won that game, but they weren't playing with the same aggressiveness, I don't feel, that they did on Sunday. And again, some of that's your opponent, but I also think there's a mindset that goes with that too. And maybe it is toughness they're lacking, as Ronnie said. It's we've been talking about that for a while too.
Your two guards had no free throws in that game, George. Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Against West Virginia.
Well, hopefully tomorrow night they look a lot more like Sunday, because that team tomorrow night's reeling, but they also can score.
West Virginia, by the way, had 21 free throws, only 11 of 21. But there's your difference.
And if I remember right, some of these games start running together at this point in the season. But that didn't. So that's the game. Chom was out, and Zella had like 4 fouls in the first half, right? And,
yes.
And they had to put him back in. I'm like, this can't be happening. That was a weird game.
Yep. And McKinley had his knee issues and still had to play through it because Halveen had all those
right
fouls.
Oh my God, yeah. They were both somewhat in foul trouble in that game.
Yeah. McKinley had 4 of his own. Halveen ended up fouling out. So you had 9 fouls of your 17 from those 2 guys alone. Terrible. Coming up, though, I guess Cincinnati doesn't really have I don't know what a good game is right now, a good matchup is for them anymore. But you have Kansas State, who's been reeling this season. The line is out. It opened at 2.5 points for Cincinnati. It's moved to 1.5 points towards Cincinnati. Kansas State sitting at 10-13 right now. Not great. ESPN's analytics give Cincinnati a 49.5% chance to win this game to Kansas State's 50.5. So essentially a coin flip by both Vegas and ESPN's analytics. I don't know what to make of any of that because Kansas State has been terrible. Currently, they are 1-9 in conference play compared to Cincinnati's 4-7.
Well, they have some guards that can score, though, and that's kind of concerns me a little bit.
I'd be probably more
for a team with, I think they have 1 win in the conference. Is that what it is?
Yeah, 1.
They got some guys that can score, but we'll see.
Yeah, PJ Haggerty's really good. He leads the team both in points and rebounds. But I don't know. I mean, you can't lose this game in Manhattan, right? Like, not if you want to feel good about going through the rest of your season. I don't know how the locker room survives a loss in Manhattan.
No, I mean, unfortunately, they'll find a way because they're getting used to it now. But they should not lose this game. Kansas State has the kid from Lakota East that was the MAC Player of the Year last year too, who can play some defense. Tough kid, Nate Johnson, who will probably make his presence felt too. So they got some guards that can do some things. It'll be a good matchup for Day Day and Jizzle and Sincere when he's in there, and we'll see who's healthy tomorrow night too, and who's going to be able to answer the bell, because that's been quite a question mark. It seems like game to game to game.
Well, and can you play the make shots offense again? That's especially on the road where you've been honestly terrible.
And that has not been a strong suit. I mean, that game Sunday was an aberration. I wish it wasn't. I thought we were going to see more of that this year, but we'll see. Maybe things break right for them and they can rack up a few wins in a row here and at least feel a little better about themselves and give us something a little more entertaining.
Well, honestly, if you don't win against Kansas State, you're probably not winning many more the rest of the season. After that, you've got Utah on Sunday. Then you've got a little bit of break as you don't play another game until the following Saturday. But at that point, you're playing Kansas in the Fog, and you follow that up with just another tune-up game against Texas Tech at Texas Tech.
Right.
So you've got an opportunity to put 3 in a row together against 3 teams that aren't great. I wouldn't call UCF great. UCF was honestly a pretty good win, although you got them on the road.
Based on the numbers, definitely.
But losing that one against West Virginia is just a terrible loss. So I don't know what to expect with them in Manhattan against Kansas State on tomorrow night. I don't feel great about it. Analytics don't feel great about it, but we'll see. There's the only consistent thing about this team is their lack of consistency.
Lack of consistency and lack of efficient offense.
Yeah.
That's been consistent. Except for Sunday. They snapped out of it a little bit. Hopefully things are turning the right way offensively for them.
All right. Well, we will switch gears here a little bit. There was a presser today for the football team, George, starting off with Coach Satterfield, talking about how they've been back for a couple of weeks now. You got 22 transfers. You've got 14 high school early enrollees. They're hyper-focused right now on just establishing connection. You've seen on social media how they've put together, I believe, 6 different groups right now, just working together in the weight room, competing in the weight room, and different things of that nature. And then if you want to hear more on the breakdown of the pressers, or if you want to just watch the pressers, Chad and Keegan were actually the only 2 media members at the pressers, as everyone else from the media is already traveling to Kansas State for the game tomorrow night. But you also got to hear your first real conversation from the new defensive coordinator, Nate Woody, as Tyson Veit leaves and goes to Penn State. Essentially, he talked about what his new defense is going to look like, went over all the new positions on the defense, position by position, what they're going to be called, as he's going to refer to them as, which is kind of interesting. And then he also talked about basically, I don't know if you knew this about him or not, George. He had at Army and Appalachian State, he led defenses that both of them had 18 interceptions in a season.
Wow.
And when he was at Wofford College, he had 44 takeaways in 1 year, which that stat is crazy. That is a crazy stat.
That's hard to do.
Essentially, what he wants to do is have a defense that can get to the quarterback, does not allow him to get through every check down. Sounds like he's going to be bringing in this new 3-4 as opposed to the 3-3-5. He's going to be bringing at least 4 every single down, from different places on the field. You're going to see safeties, corners, linebackers, every positional linebacker, and obviously your defensive line trying to get after the quarterback at different times.
I like that. I don't like passive defense, and I feel like that's what we've been seeing a lot of, was passive.
His goal is to not allow a quarterback to make it through all of his progressions. If the quarterback makes it through every single progression, you have let the quarterback sit in the pocket too long. He also said that if, as a defensive player, if you get your hands on a ball, you have to make the quarterback pay for bad decisions. And if you're getting your hands on the ball and you're not creating a turnover, then you have wasted an opportunity. You have not seized the opportunity. You've wasted a chance to make the quarterback pay. And again, I know he came from Army, and some of this sounds like a bit, he did at times sound a bit mechanical, a bit what you would expect out of a guy who was at Army, essentially. But you also need somebody who is hard-nosed coming in here, because what we have seen the last several years on defense, in my opinion, has been soft, has just let big plays go, has let an offense do whatever they wanted to do to you, and you really either you didn't give up too many deep plays, but if you did, you got burned, or you got a flag.
Yeah, I mean, too many times this past season we saw when the defense needed to step up and stop a drive, it didn't happen. And they would get the other team in bad situations. They would get them in some 3rd and longs, or 2nd and longs, and then the next thing you know, another first down, and the drive continues. Hopefully he's got the players to do what he wants to do. But I also think he's going to be a guy who knows what he has and how far he can go with that before maybe they start being overly aggressive, if that makes sense. Which I would welcome that based on what I've seen in the most recent years. I want to see a defense try to impose their will and try to rush the quarterback and try to make things happen rather than waiting for things to happen. And that's what needs to be done here. And I just hope he has the men to do it with.
He talked an awful lot about evaluation, and I think he mentioned the word. I told Chad on the nightcap tonight. I think he mentioned the word evaluation probably about 12 different times. Just wanting to make sure, because at Army, when you're seeing guys, a lot of times you had not seen guys who played too many snaps the season prior. He said at times he saw a guy who played 12 snaps, 17 snaps that became a really good player the very next season. So he's making sure that he's getting deep into the evaluations, not just what they're doing on the field, what they're doing off the field, what they're doing in the weight room, what they're doing to get better. And he wants to not just evaluate them based on what position they're listed at, but also try and find the best place to expose whatever it is that they can bring to the team, whether that's he said he's going to rotate probably far more on the defensive line, but also rotate guys in based on packages, not just to try and get guys in, but where you excel and kind of move people around. He was asked specifically about when where you would, or if he would move guys when talking about Antoine Peak. Are you going to keep him at safety? Are you going to move him around into some of the linebacker positions? He said, we're going to evaluate everything.
Yeah. And that's what he should do.
I agree.
I mean, there's nothing, there's nothing on that defense that they don't need to look at after the past couple of years and what's been going on there. They've got to get that fixed. I mean, and you go back to those turnovers and stuff, and there were a couple of games that they could have won that they lost if a guy hangs on to a ball and makes the interception or falls on the fumble. That could have changed those games, and it went the wrong way, and it changed the game the wrong way. I mean, it cost UC dearly. I mean, I'm trying to remember even back, was it the Nebraska game? They had their hands on what could have been a pick six, and it was not reeled in, and that would have changed that game.
I feel like there were probably about 3 or 4 different times throughout the season that you had your hands on a pick six, and you just weren't able to convert.
Yeah, I mean, it just and it wasn't for lack of effort, but they've got to make those plays. It just seemed like there was I don't know why that happens, but there was just an inordinate amount of plays the defense could have made, and they didn't. And it seemed like it happened every time at a critical juncture. They couldn't make the play.
Well, if you hadn't listened to any of that presser, you can go back and listen to that here on the Bearcat Journal YouTube channel, or you can listen to the nightcap where we do talking, and Chad and I break down the highlights of everything that everybody had to say between Coach Satterfield, Coach Nate Woody, and Evan Tengenstall, All-American Evan Tengenstall. So
good to have those offensive linemen back, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you got 3 offensive linemen coming back between Joe Cotton and Evan Tengenstall and Tarantayo. That I think that's probably where you spent the lion's share of your NIL money, truthfully.
Right.
I
love those trenches. I think that's how you win in my book.
In turn, you have most of your offensive line returning from last year that was really, really good. So J.C. French has certainly never had that to play behind as a quarterback in college. So we'll see what he can do with that.
Yeah, I hope they made a good evaluation there. I mean, that's very obviously the important position. But, if you've got a good one and you've got a good line, good things are going to happen. And I hope that's what they've got. Because they had a good one, but it wasn't going to work keeping him here for that money, I guess. Isn't that a shame? But that's where we're at.
That is where we're at. a tale of the time.
Well, I mean, think about that. I mean, I think UC made the right decision. Like, you can't spend the bulk of your money on one dude when, I just if somebody else has a bigger match to give, yeah. I mean, you just, you got to money ball it, and that's what they got to do.
We'll switch gears here, though. As much as the segue makes me want to stay on football that you kind of threw up to me there, I think it's a little bit more important we get to baseball. As pitchers and catchers have reported, you said first practice is tomorrow, right?
First official pitcher and catcher workout tomorrow. They were out there throwing today, but yeah.
Still in Goodyear and doing it down in Arizona. But what, George, are you looking forward to, if anything, in spring training?
Well, you wonder who's going to step up and grab that fifth starter position in the starting rotation. They got a lot of good candidates. I mean, that's one good thing. And by the way, I know I was like pushing for a potential Hunter Green trade, but it's kind of nice having him come back in and being a part of this rotation where they have so many options, because that's so big for them. That's one thing the Reds have that a lot of teams would like to have, and that is surplus starting pitching. Now, hopefully, I didn't just jinx them with injuries and stuff, but I mean, when you're potentially looking, at Rhett Lauder or Chase Burns as your fifth starter, that's pretty good. That's some talent. And obviously, there's two or three other guys that are going to be in there looking for the same thing. So that's part of it. And then just how Tito's going to put this whole thing together, with Suarez coming in. And I guess Hayes still plays by far the bulk of the time at third base. But
I would think so.
Then you got to figure out, Friedel, and then who, and then it sounds like it'll be Ellie hitting third and Suarez fourth, and he's wanting the right-hand batter there in the second position. Based on his rookie year, that would be Matt McClain. But based on last year, I don't know who it's going to be. And that's something they're going to have to figure out.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I'm kind of excited to see is how Sal Stewart fits into this entire equation, because you kind of have Eugenio Suarez Jr. in Sal Stewart. They play almost identical as far as third, first DH, unless you can squeeze any second base out of Sal Stewart. If you can't, then you're going to have to, and I would imagine you're going to have to bring in somebody who can play shortstop, second base, because right now I don't know who your backup shortstop and second baseman is.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be that's going to be interesting to figure that out, and they'll be scouring the waiver wire again, looking for some dude to pop. And it worked for him that year. What's his name did? The guy from the Blue Jays they brought in like 2 days before the season started.
I keep wanting to say Iglesias. That's not it, but
yes. No, like Santiago, or what was that guy's name?
It wasn't that. But
how quickly we forget.
Well, he still with the team? Didn't they move him down last year?
Well, now you got me looking.
I'm looking too.
Espinal, right? Is that who?
Yes, it was Espinal.
Yeah.
And I think he's still with the team.
Well, this may shock you, but I hope he is.
Santiago Espinal.
Because you're really begging for Matt McClain. I mean, that would be the guy that should be able to, he can play some shortstop if he's healthy, but not if he's playing like last year. And you got to hope. I don't know. I don't know about Sal Stewart at second base. I think they're curious to see if he can soak up some time there. I hope he can. But otherwise, you're right. He's a, DH, first baseman, maybe some third. I don't know. I know that's what they were thinking early on in his career, but he's such a good bat. I mean, he's going to have to get his at bats somehow.
Yeah, it'll be.
But you can stick Suarez over at third now, and probably, get some average play over there defensively. Now, Downside of that is with Hayes over there, you're getting Gold Glove defense over there, and that's big.
But what's he giving you at the plate? And that's been
Not
the biggest
enough.
question mark. That's been
Well,
the biggest
maybe
question mark.
enough now. If you have a DH like Suarez, maybe you can afford a weaker bat at one of the corner positions.
Which
I don't like that.
Which was exactly what we talked about when we made the move for Brian Hayes, is the fact that he is a luxury item, not one that you put any type of hopes and dreams into at that corner spot.
No, I was very lukewarm on that trade. However, the first couple of weeks he was here, he kind of hit the ball okay, and he made several spectacular plays. It's like, geez, I'm torn on that guy. I really am. I don't know what to think of him.
Well, as soon as Suarez is there at third base and he misses or has a giant gaff there at third base, or even Sal Stewart for that matter, you're going to be saying, what's he even in there for? Why isn't the Gold Glover out there? And
I know. And you know it'll happen. You know it will. But all of that is a good problem for Francona to figure out. That at least they're a much better team than they were a week and a half ago before they signed Suarez. I think it's a much better lineup. It's sorely what they were lacking last year, and they got lucky. They got lucky he was still out there, because if he hadn't been, or if they had missed on him, it was probably going to be Andujar again, because they would have been forced into signing him before he signed, I think, the day after Suarez did somewhere. But so I'm excited to see how this all comes together. I said I'd never let myself get optimistic on the Reds again, but I'm somewhat cautiously optimistic. And then probably by the time opening day rolls around, I'll be fired up and I'll be thinking this team's got a good chance to win 88 games and be a player in the playoffs.
Good Lord.
90 games. Why cut it off at 88? 90 games.
Tyler Stevenson today won his arbitration case. He's going to get $6.8 million this season. Players, by the way, have won 6 of 7 arbitration cases so far. Detroit being hammered by arbitration.
Oh my God. Did they screw up?
Don't let a 2-time Cy Young winner take you to arbitration. There's no way how did you expect to not lose?
No, they could have definitely avoided that somehow but yeah, that one surprised me. That one surprised me that it got to that point. And did they really think, once you saw the numbers, that they were going to win that case? I felt like they had no chance.
I guess.
I mean, based on what Scooble's done, Jesus.
I don't think you let it.
Incredible.
You don't let it get to arbitration as a team if you think you can't win.
No.
But in any case,
wins his. So now the Reds have what I say, $12 million wrapped up in their 2 catchers.
They do,
which is a lot for them given their payroll. When you don't have what I would consider
money,
an all-star catcher, you
don't have money,
and you don't right, and you're putting that much into catching, which is usually you got a decent starter, and then you got your journeyman backup, and it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money. Well, the Reds have invested. Trevino's been a good catcher for that. I like that guy. He's done very well. So they should be set in that department this year anyway.
Well, I'm interested to see, because I recall a time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall a time, whether it was as we approached the trade deadline or at some point during the offseason, but I remember hearing that teams were calling about Trevino and wanting to see what it would cost to take Trevino from the Reds. Now, that said, I believe this is the last year that you have control of Tyler Stevenson. I think he gets to hit the free market as a free agent next season. So maybe he's a guy that you consider moving at some point this season. But either way,
it's possible.
Either way, at the end of the season,
attractive because he's under control. I mean, he's like signed another year. He's got this year and the year after with the Reds.
I guess what I'm curious to see is what odds you think that the Reds end this season with these two catchers still on the roster, because I give it a 0% chance.
I'm going to give it a high chance because here's why. Now, maybe Trevino's the one. I'll say a high chance that Stevenson sticks it out here. Reason being, the Reds seems like every Cincinnati team falls in love with guys, especially guys that they drafted. And they drafted him in the first round. And he's a guy they promote a lot. He's a guy they like. He shows up at all their events. When they need someone at this event or that event, he is a good dude. He's a great dude. And I just think it's like Suarez. If he had never played here before and the Reds people in the executive office didn't love the guy, they probably never would have even jumped in the fray for him to sign him. So I just feel like Stevenson's one of those guys they're in love with and they're going to ride or die with him.
I guess what I'm getting at is I don't expect them to have – I think that there's a chance they have one of them, sure. And I think that one is Stevenson. I'm with you there. I just don't think that there's any chance that they end the season with these two guys still as the catchers of your Cincinnati Reds.
Well, unless they're having a pretty good year.
I just would think that because it's costing you now $12 million, you're probably going to unload one or the other and make a move for another piece that you can have more control over beyond next season.
You're thinking
even
logically.
in Trevino's case.
You're thinking logically.
It's what I do, George.
And then maybe that what's that one kid's name in the system, Duno or whatever. I think he's going to spend the year in Dayton probably. But if he ever if the catching aspect catches up to the bat, they're going to have something a couple years down the road. But it's still a couple years down probably.
I don't know. I'm still hopeful that he can get past Dayton this season.
Oh, I hope you're right. I hope they have to move him up. I hope he forces their hand. We'll see.
Because he's like 19, I think, this year.
Yeah.
So he's just a young buck.
Very young guy.
Making waves.
And the Reds have not rushed guys very often.
Which
They
with
don't
catchers,
like to start those clocks.
But with catchers, I mean, you saw what happened with the kid from Punxsutawney, Mesoraco. He was supposed to be the catcher. Yeah. He was supposed to be the catcher of the future, and they very quickly were out. Even Stevenson has had some issues with injuries, and you wonder how long he's going to be able to hang out behind the plate as opposed to having to move him to first base. So I just don't know how long you want to keep a catcher in the minors, because you don't want to start the clock when you wonder how long the clock even has before the timer goes off.
Yeah, no, those guys are apt to get injured, and a taller guy like Stevenson is probably more apt to get injured back there. He's just more exposed, as we saw. Was that 2 years ago when he kept getting hurt and the ball
the
off
helmet,
the shoulder, and he that
got off the helmet.
Yeah,
he had
got the helmet out of
him. Yeah.
He did. So I don't know. You may be right there. We'll see what they do with that young guy, but I don't think we'll see him this year.
Time will tell. I don't think we're going to see him this year, but I hope that he's got conversations starting already about how he's the best catcher in the minors. That'd be fantastic.
Yes, it would.
Switching gears one last time here, because that's what we do. There hasn't been a ton of Bengals stuff before we get on to the Super Bowl, but the little bit of Bengals news, if it were, apparently it's being reported that apparently the Bengals are considering placing the franchise tag on Trey Hendrickson. George, I don't know what to make of any of this. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think I think he made business decisions last season. I don't know if he was actually injured. I don't know to what extent he was injured. everything felt off from the offseason until the end of the season. It all felt weird. And I don't know if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, what the hell you're thinking outside of the production he's given you early on. And if you were going to keep him around this long, why you didn't just sign him to a longer contract to begin with. But here we are.
The drama.
Here we are in another offseason. This is the third one now in a row where you're wondering, is Trey Hendrickson going to be a Cincinnati Bengal?
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made that they did the right thing not going in long term, where they would have to add a couple more years after this one to have gotten him signed last year. But the production, they got nothing out of him last year for whatever the hell the franchise was. And is that going to happen again? And that's the Bengals know more than we do what was going on with this dude and what the injury situation was. And if there was any gray area there, I'm not going back there either. And I know they might lose a side too, so they're hurting a little bit at the edge if they lose both those guys. But that doesn't solve anything if you bring him back on a franchise tag and he's going to be moping around. That doesn't solve anything.
Right now, the biggest area of need on the Cincinnati Bengals is that edge spot, without question. It's the biggest area of need outside of maybe safety. I'll give you safety if you wanted to make that argument. You probably
there was one that could be made there, yes.
But edge has been a position that has been lacking, and you go into last offseason knowing that it's still last offseason was a position that was lacking. Instead of signing the guy, you give him the average of the top 5 players at that position in the entire league to put him on the franchise tag. And now, a year later, you're going to have to do that again. How much money have you wasted instead of just signing him to whatever 3 or 4 year deal may be, instead of just signing him, which it probably would have been far cheaper than what you're going to pay putting him on the franchise tag 2 years straight?
Because this year the franchise tag is going to be what for that position? It's going to be $30 million plus, right?
Probably astronomical. Let me see if I can find it real quick while you give your.
Yeah, the salary cap's going to go up. Obviously, they'll know that in a few weeks, and it's going to be over $300 million. So it's going to go up another $20 million from last year. If the Bengals think that everything was legit last year with him, with the injury front and all that, I don't mind the franchise tag on him if he's going to play, and you're not getting stuck with a long-term deal for a guy who's starting to get up there.
$27,322,000 is the expected franchise tag
for this year.
For this year, 2026.
See, I feel like it was going to take that to sign him anyway, or close to it. I mean, he wasn't going to make Myles Garrett money, and he wasn't looking for that, but he was probably looking for 30, wasn't he, or thereabouts?
Maybe. But maybe if you give him 3 or 4, depending on what he was asking guaranteed, I don't know that you're necessarily out much more than what you're going to, if anything.
Well, then there's the other part of that equation is he's at peace with it, and he feels invested, and he's back to being a productive member of the team.
You also could have front loaded that. You could have back loaded that. Who knows what you would have been having to pay year after year, which given what you had going on with.
But you see what the Steelers did with J.J. Watt. Now they're kind of in a situation there as to whether, do we keep paying this guy and on this contract? If we cut him, we're going to be out $60 million. I mean, there's a lot to consider with those longer term contracts for those guys that are in football years getting up there. And like the Steelers don't know what the hell to do. I don't know what they're going to do.
I guess I just don't want to misconstrue that I'm not trying to make the case for Trey Hendrickson because I'm still baffled by the fact that you're considering bringing him back given what the last several off seasons have looked like. I guess the only case I'm making is you could have avoided all of this if you had just signed him and not had to deal with because last season it wasn't going to be. I don't know what he made last season, but if it's the average of the top 5, I don't think you would be paying him as much as you are over the course of 2 seasons. If you gave him 4,
yeah, it's just being on the hook for that extra money. So, like, if the Steelers cut J.J. Watt, they may be out like $60 million or whatever the heck the figure is. If they cut him in the offseason, maybe they'll try to rework a deal. That would be my guess if he's open to that. And I guess they just didn't want to get in that situation and be on the hook for all, 2 or 3 years down the road. And I can't completely fault them for that. But did they create the situation where an injury that maybe wouldn't have kept him out if he had the long-term deal kept him out last year? I don't know where that was. They should know. And I think we'll figure it out when we see what they do with him. But they may try to squeeze one more franchise year out of him.
Give me that $27 million and let him go. Let the headache go. Let the drama go. Let it all go. Find somebody else at defensive end, whether find a free agent, bring back Osai, and get yourself a safety that is either.
They probably do need to bring back Osai if they're going to do that. They got to
get yourself a safety that's either named Brian Cook or Kobe Bryant, and let's have some fun.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Probably in that order, actually. Brian Cook, 1A, and Kobe Bryant, 1B.
Or it could be a first-round draft pick from Ohio State.
I think you do both. Do both. Safety is that bad.
I would like that. Did you see that the dude from Seattle thought that the Bengals were going to draft him last year, and they did. They passed on him, and then Seattle got him early in the second round, I guess. But that would have been interesting. They had to have been thinking that. I kind of wish in retrospect they would have, but
instead we got a guy who had 2 sacks. Did he?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to turn around. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they did that, to be honest. But maybe they'll be the smart one in the long run. But there's all those crazy measurables that he was off the charts on and stuff. But you still got to sit there and ask yourself, then how in the hell did he only have X number of sacks with as many games as he played at the college level?
I don't know.
Here
we are with Shamar Stewart.
But I think all the options are probably on the table when it comes to Trey. I mean, they're looking at – I don't think they'll sign him to a 3-year deal or something like that.
Not now.
No, I don't either. I don't think that's on the table. But they could tag him. They could say adios. So if there's other things like they could transition him or no? I don't know. God, I should know.
I don't know if you can do the transition tag or not. But look, I'm firmly in the camp. Let him go and spend that money on one of those safeties and Dalton Reisner as well. That's the guy I want them to bring back.
Yeah, they need to bring him back on that list of free agents. Him, Osai, Davis, maybe the corner. And then after that, it's just like they're all just guys.
Bunch of Jags.
They're not losing they're not losing a whole lot, I don't think.
Well, the NFL season is over. Kobe Bryant, UC Bearcat, gets a ring. You did have Lorenz Metz on the other side, by the way. If New England had won, he would have gotten a ring.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I think he's on the practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think he started off. He was at Tampa to start the season, but I missed him bouncing around.
Yeah,
he'll probably show his face in the offseason. He was hanging out in Cincinnati a lot, but
Kobe with a couple tackles. He ended up with a pass breakup. He was close to 2 different interceptions. Truthfully, he had the one that he was diving for the tackle already and it bounced off his chest as he was making the tackle or making the hit. And then the other one that he tried to reach up and grab over the receiver and ended up knocking down. But He played a good game.
Yes, he did. That was good to see. Yeah, the Bearcats
But
have done very well in that big game here over the past few years.
yeah, they're up to 20 now, and I believe that's two players that have rings from the college football playoff team. So
Yeah,
between him and Brian Cook,
Cook.
and I guess Kelsey. Well, he wasn't on that team, but
no, he wasn't on that team, but he was on the team Brian was on.
Yeah,
at Kansas City.
But any other takeaways from the Super Bowl, or you want to just get to the high school athletics?
Yeah, no, the Super Bowl came and went, and I was wrong. Thankfully I didn't bet much on it either. But I was wrong on everything. I was wrong on everything. Thankfully, I just went in small increments, and I just picked out a couple props I liked that paid pretty well if they would have hit. Of course, they didn't.
I'm just happy that New England's not starting another dynasty.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it yet. The only thing about New England winning that is that they are tied, with most Super Bowl wins with Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh wouldn't have been tied for number one anymore. That would have been like the only thing.
I was happy to see Seattle fans get redemption after and it coming from the run game, by the way, which I think the Super Bowl MVP should have been Jason Myers. And if it wasn't Jason Myers, it should have been whatever their punter's name is, because those two guys kicking the ball saved that Super Bowl for Seattle. Without those two guys kicking the ball as well as they did, they don't win that game. I don't care what the running back was doing for them.
Oh, Walker's so good.
Sure.
I'm really. How many years has he been in the league now?
3, maybe.
I was worried about him coming in, and he was terrific at Michigan State, but they ran him, and I mean, he was having 40-plus carry games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this dude going to be able to survive long in the NFL? Because he's got a lot of miles on those tires, and he has been fantastic. I'm happy for the dude. I was really worried they were burning him out up there at Michigan State. That's when D'Antonio was coaching, and it looks like he's got plenty left when it comes to tread on the tires.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, not Joe. Sam Darnold joins Brad Johnson and who was the guy in Baltimore that won the first Super Bowl? Not Joe Flacco.
Oh my God, that guy got no credit.
That's kind of the point I'm making is he joins the terrible quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls, and maybe Sam Darnold isn't so terrible.
Oh my gosh, that's killing me. What was that guy's name? Oh my God, we're gonna feel stupid when we figure it out.
Sad part is I can picture him, and I can't think of his name.
Oh my God. Trent Dilfer.
There it is.
How about that?
Well, I was picturing him in a Browns jersey, and I couldn't think of his name. Anyway.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's
I think Sam Darnold's right up there. If you're talking about Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks who were not the guy, I think he's right up there.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but Darnold signed a pretty good contract with them, though, right? Like he's making $30+ million a year or something.
Seattle's had several quarterbacks who have done just that, so I don't know that necessarily means anything.
No, it just means he's a rich guy, and football has really paid him. Whether he's looked at as a run-of-the-mill quarterback or a Super Bowl champion quarterback, he's going to be doing quite all right for a long time.
You're right. All right, what's going on around the high school in the area?
Well, the tournaments are going to start in a couple of weeks. Lakota West had a big game against Princeton Friday night, and Lakota West came out on top. Had a big first quarter in that game, went on the win by 5, and so Lakota West now 18-1, Princeton 15-2, and those are two of your top teams in Division I in Ohio. And then you have the GCLs coming down, the St. X and Moeller on Friday night. Moeller won the first meeting, so whoever wins that will be crowned likely crowned the GCL champ. In fact, I think it has to be now. I think they're both 4-1. So that's going on there. Winton Woods 15-0. Mike Pilgrim still has them rocking and rolling, and they're going to win that Eastern Cincinnati Conference. Baden is battling Alter for the GCL co-ed, and in Division III, Baden 16-2, and Wyoming. This is kind of crazy. Wyoming's 18-1. They play in Division IV, playing the Cincinnati Hills League. Their first loss just came Saturday, and it came to St. X. So it came against a very good Division I team. So Wyoming in Division IV has to be considered one of the teams to look out for to win it all in that division. And then in Kentucky, Covcath rolls on. They haven't lost a game in forever, 22-1. Highlands 21-3, and Lloyd's still getting it done and beat Highlands the other night. A big win for Lloyd. Beat Highlands last night in a great game, 69-68, 7 straight wins for the Jugs. So, and they'll like Kentucky or like Ohio, Kentucky will be starting those tournaments in a couple of weeks, and with some legit chances for some teams to win it all.
Did you go down to the Cintas Center for the big Princeton and?
I did not. I can't remember what I was doing that night. Even I was trying to remember that earlier. I had something.
I don't care who's coaching UC next season. You've got to do everything you can to get that kid from is he
from West?
Is it from West? Which kid? You know who I'm talking about? The superstar.
Well, there's a couple of them. I know West has. Yeah, I mean, I can't figure out recruiting anymore though. Like, what do you do?
What do you mean? What do you do? You tell them how much you're going to pay them and see if that's enough to get them to come to your school.
Sometimes it comes down to how much you're going to pay them. I don't know if it matters. See, here's I went off on this last night, and this is probably the dumbest thing ever because coaches do make a big difference, and we see that. But I don't know with NIL and stuff now. If I'm an athletic director, I don't know if I'm ever giving another coach a buyout. It's like I'll get the players. I can find somebody in town to coach these guys that I'm not going to owe, $10 million to if I have to fire their butt because they're not getting the job done. I don't know. This whole buyout thing has me so.
George, I don't know that the buyout is necessarily just so you have to fire them. It's to protect you as a school from losing your coach to another school who's going to take your coach.
Then go. I'm not going to pay you. I'm serious. I'm tired of it. Like, why would LSU have to pay Brian Kelly $50 million because they want to get rid of him?
Well, that's because they're idiots. I don't know what to tell you there. They should have
never
hired him.
I would not make a good athletic director.
They should have never hired him to begin with.
Either you want the job or you don't. And if you don't, and you're going to be happy somewhere else coaching, then okay, go coach somewhere else.
All right. Well, we've reached the old man yelling at cloud portion of the show here. So
it took a little longer tonight.
I think that's our calling card. But thanks to those of you who showed up here watching us live. Thanks to Cincy Light for sponsoring the studios, and thanks as always to Remington Tavern for sponsoring the show. Remington Tavern can be found at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy or follow them on Facebook. But for George Vogel, I'm Aaron Smith. We'll be back here next Tuesday to discuss all of your Cincinnati sports.
Thank you, Aaron.